All right, there we go. So this is our Capilano steering helm pump from the inside steering station. I believe it's original 1974 to the boat. This uses, they say, Dextron 2 automatic transmission fluid. We're going to use not that. We're going to use the Amsoil synthetic because this isn't like fluid you change ever. So what we're going to do is take it all apart because it had a leak. Make sure you do this up over the carpet. It's important. That should be it for this back cover. We got two. We had a leak from one of these plates here. More tools. Well, that doesn't want to come off. So we're looking at our directions. Alright. We'll take this side apart then. I don't know if you guys use these lunch trays that you get from like a kitchen store or something. They're pretty great. You don't scratch up the table, get in trouble. Hey, something came off. Grab another towel. We got our first O-ring in here. Well, it's not rock hard, that's good. Make sure you don't scratch anything when you're taking it apart by using an old pocket knife. There we go. Pick tool. see that hopefully. It's pretty square. Usually O-rings are round. Okay, and we'll unbolt this plate. You can tell I've been in the shipyard because my tools are all covered in 5200 or 4200. A little spring pressure on that guy. Got to make it exciting to put back together. I got a little bearing housing here that came off this way, and our little swash plate inside here, little gasket. Okay, here comes our bearing. It's a pretty standard looking bearing. SKF. Feels good. This is a roller bearing, ball bearing, something like that. All the little balls look good. Feels nice and smooth. Came off this way, so we're going to keep it all in order. Here's our pump. Pops out this way. So what happens is each of these are individual little pistons in here. And this plate is angled with the bearing. So as you turn this, it pumps different pumps. And you can see I'm making a mess. It pumps it right out this side. So you just want to make sure none of these stick. They'll feel really good. It's dirty. That's to be expected. It's 50 years old. Get some more towels here. Okay, we'll put this guy over here. We'll clean it a little better before we put it all together. This is just the housing, basically. It's definitely got some sediment inside there, so that's all gonna get cleaned out really well. Need a little grease. That's all wiped out. Now we gotta try and get this perfect. So there you go. Just a housing. That's gonna get cleaned up really good. And we'll reseal these fittings, top and bottom, just to make sure. Old gasket. You can see in here the grooves. It's kind of sharp. There's little grooves in this end cap where it directs fluid either to the right or to the left, port or starboard. So that's what we're working on. And we've got new O-rings for all this stuff. And you want to be careful, some of this stuff's spring loaded in here. And we should have a little O-ring behind this guy. This is where it looked like it was leaking from. Make sure you get your safety squints. Okay. We got a little baby spring. And here, I want to make sure that's picking that up, is our leak. That O-ring. Oh, you can see it for a second. Boom. Cut. Okay. Same thing on this side. These two should be pretty much the same. Boom. Boom. Wore out, totally square and flat, but not torn like the other side. So there we go, we found our problem. And everything else in here looks great. Aside from being a little dirty, here's your check balls that live inside of each of these holes. And that's what, as you turn the pump, helm, the steering wheel, those little balls will block fluid from going to the other side of the ram so that you only get pressure on the direction you want to turn. So those should be the same side to side, and they fit right perfectly on there. We're not going to put them there because they'll fly off and we'll never find them. So now we're going to clean up gaskets. And I don't know if the kit came with both. Came with an O-ring. For this side came with an O-ring, not gasket. So we'll have to see. We might have to reuse that gasket. But this one we do have, and that's good because it tore. So you don't want to reuse that. So we're just going to clean her up. Now I can tell you, these guys have a little O-ring groove. Let's see if it'll focus. See this little groove? There's the yellow. And it's got a little spot that's made for an O-ring to go in. I think they were just stuck in here. I don't think they actually get installed in there. In this rebuild kit, we've got a gasket, an O-ring that would go on there, which maybe we'll try. This is a plastic seal retainer that this one doesn't use. And a bunch of other O-rings. So you just gotta find the right one. And it kind of looks like these ones. Nope, too big. Too small. Too big. What do we got? Let's look. Maybe none of them. Let's see if we can get this one on there. Cool. So, I just shot off there. To be expected. We're trying to stretch this O-ring onto here. It's not totally working. Okay. Let's try putting one in here. maybe I was wrong. Won't be the last time. Fits in there pretty good. Not perfect, but it's pretty darn good. So let's see what it does. You know, I think that's going to be the one. So let's put it onto here. See what happens if we try to put it in like that. And these do have a little bit of ATF on them, so don't try and put them in dry. Might need a little bit more. Seems to have gone right in. Like so. Get that pretty tight. Okay, old one, new one. Seems too big, but it works. So we'll find out if it actually works. So it's just down till it's just touching the O-ring, and then you gotta work it around to make sure it's all the way in its groove. It's kind of a weird fit. Hopefully you could see that. It just popped right in there. And you just snug it a little bit, work it around. And it's just a captured O-ring in there. Not saying it won't leak, but it seems pretty legit. Then we got our gasket here. Oh. Gasket. Looks pretty good. So now we can. Sure came with a lot of extra O-rings. This does fit 4 different helms, so not totally surprised. I don't think there's any O-rings to replace inside of here. Let's check. Nope. And this stuff's all pretty clean. Except for that, that's gross. By pretty clean, I mean not clean at all. What about you? Just clean all this junk up. And you're not getting your new AMS oil all grody, or less grody. I mean, the rest of it's still 50 years old, so. Okay, so when you take this apart, don't do what I just did, because inside of here is another cup and a little tiny spring and another little ball. Okay, tiny ball lives down there. This guy goes in just like this over this spring with another spring on the bottom. All has to go in just like that. Okay. Huh. That one plunger must have been sitting on the bottom for a long time because it had some junk on it. The rest of them look good. So we'll take it. They'll move nice and free. Oh, this one's a little weird. What's this one? What's this one doing? Yeah, feels a little weird. Different than the rest. So all of these are the pumps. So they pump, I don't know if you can even see it anymore, but they pump fluid out of these little holes inside of here. Every time they're pushed down, pushes through there, which can direct fluid through these slots into the port and starboard, like I mentioned earlier. Super simple. It's probably got a fancy name, like a axial pump or some jazz like that, but I don't remember. And it looks like there might be O-rings down in there, but since this thing was working okay, we're just gonna save them, and if it needs it later, we'll deal with that. So just give this guy a wipe out. Make sure your gasket surfaces are good. So let's a little clean up here. Hopefully it's not getting too dark. I have to turn a light on here. Check. Interesting thought, though. This pump, how it works, with this wash plate kind of thing, axial type wash plate pumper. This is how air conditioner in a car works. Well, probably not all the fancy new cars, but this used to be how exactly the same thing as a air conditioning pump in a car. Exactly the same. Now I just have to remember which side's which. Make sure you don't scratch this all up, because it's got to be nice and flat. That ATF is going to want to leak out. We want to keep it in there. Okay. So there you go. There's that. Now, I happen to know that this is the top. It's got this bleeder in it. And the drain line comes straight out the bottom. And I happen to also know that these need to face down, because that's where our hoses go. This boat's got hoses. A lot of these systems use a hard line straight to this pump, and they're super annoying to work on. But Uniflite used hoses, so that's kind of cool. And this steering pump is exactly the same on all kinds of boats. New boats, old boats. All kinds of boats. The new ones are a little fancier. They have an adjustment, which I was just explaining to a customer the other day. They're really cool. They're a variable displacement. So there's a little knob you can turn underneath the steering wheel. And what that does is it adjusts the orifices and how much fluid this whole mess can pump. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty fancy stuff out there. And this, you could use that in this boat. But you'd have to take out, this has the check valves, which is what a lot of these O-rings are for, are in the stern, mounted next to the steering cylinder. So normally those check valves would be mounted in the pump rather than just the two little ball check guys. But this one's got it in the back. It's called a Uniflow. So if you have variable rate steering, then it's a lot more work to rebuild the pump, but you don't have a separate valve in the back. I just didn't want to have to buy two new helms for, $1,400 a piece. So make sure and torque these to the manufacturer's torque specs. Click. 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 Perfect torque, as usual. Okay. So there it is with the back plate put back together. Now, this guy. You can see it spins nice and easy. Nothing crazy going on there. And it spins easy right now because no wash plate. Oh, so this one. You can hear them. you can hear, there's no way to like show you on the video, but as I pump them up and down, I can feel it out at different sides. Like right now I can feel it on this finger. Pretty cool. Okay, so we're just gonna make sure they're all ready to go. Okay, all ready to go. Next is our bearing. And we're going to keep it in the same order. That's dirty. That's pretty clean. So we're just going to make sure these guys are all good, clean, wiped off. Boom. 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 Now what the bearing does is it holds these at an angle, the angle that this helm outer piece is, so that as it turns, it pumps in one direction or the other. And you can also verify that it works. Pretty sweet. Now this kit comes with an O-ring instead of a gasket. And I think since our pump is so old, we're going to go ahead and just use this gasket again. It wasn't leaking. It didn't tear. It's in really good shape. Yep. I don't know. Problem is, as soon as you take it off, if the O-ring don't work, then you're in trouble. Yeah, guy's nice and clean. We're nice and clean through the middle. And now here. Let me check this out. Hello? No. I was going to turn on the light, but it doesn't seem to want to turn on, so. Okay. Now this guy is going to come straight in. Just kind of work it down. Tappy. There it is. Now you have to make sure that you don't get too excited there, because your bearing needs to come up onto its little spot here on the angled plate. Hopefully you can see. Probably be smart to have a light. See how the bearing is up on the angled plate? There you go, you can see it there, right there. Oh. Sounds like it's starting to rain. Okay, bearing up on the angled plate, and then you just work it down until it holds itself in place. And then you can push it down and get your bolts in. Get a couple bolts going. Now let's see, did we do it right? Is this on the top? Is it the same? So I'm just checking. There's a stain on the bottom that matches probably where it used to leak. So I think we got it on the right side. I hope. So we're going to bolt her up right like that. Guess we could look at the picture. Checking on the diagram here. And the diagram doesn't tell you nothing. So there you go. We're just going with it. Work these around in a good pattern. So you don't want to get this tweaked in there weird. Because remember, you got that wash plate guy going in, so you want it to go straight in. Okay. Click. Torque wrench. Click. Click. Ah. Okay. There we go. Tight. I mean, not like tight. Perfectly torqued. Now for our shaft seal O-ring, which looks like was a good guess on the first try. And that guy's just going to go right in here. And just work it around. Now that it's dark and you can't see nothing, perfect time for a video. Okay, guys in. Our retainer plate goes on. And that just captures that O-ring. Some flathead screws. The newer ones use this plastic retainer guy. We don't have that because this one's old. But you know what? 4 O-rings in a gasket, or 3 O-rings in a gasket. Take it. Next time I'm just going to cut some gasket material. So I got some gaskets pre-made. Got a handful of those other O-rings. Save yourself the $60 C-Star rebuild kit. And that's all it is. Ain't no thing. I say that. I should say that after it works. Because, you know, there's always that it working part. Yep. 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 Okay. Oh yeah, hear it? Works that way. Oh yeah. Beauty. So there you go. Now all we gotta do is put it in. It's all over but the crying. Make sure you got your tools picked up. Save these extra O-rings in case, you know, you need them for something else, because they don't go to this. And that's it. Now I'm going to edit this video, listen to the rain, and get up and do some fiberglass. See y'all next time.